I am so sick of giga corporations patenting game mechanics. Pisses me off like you wouldn't believe. Palworld has to stop summoning pals from pal spheres. You now just summon it next to you, and you're not allowed to glide using a pal as the glider in the video game because Nintendo patented those game mechanics, meaning no one else is allowed to use those game mechanics. They made an announcement about this. I'm livid about this, dude. It just pisses me off that we're losing game mechanics from other games because Nintendo is too up its own ass to allow anybody to use that shit. It really pisses me off. Also, no, this has nothing to do with copyright, number one. It has to do with patents, which are not copyright. The internet doesn't understand this. But yeah, they said, regarding a lawsuit, we would like to express our sincere gratitude and appreciation for the continued support of our fans over the last few months. Apologize for not being able to share as much information as we like, but we trust our fans understand how difficult it is to be fully transparent while litigation is ongoing. Currently, we remain involved in a prolonged legal proceedings regarding alleged patent infringement. We continue to dispute these claims and assert the invalidity of the patents in question. Or invalidity of the patent? Yeah, they're trying to assert that the patents are invalid. We continue to dispute these claims and assert the invalidity of the patents in question. However, we've had to make certain compromises in order to avoid disruptions to the development and distribution of Palworld. What this means is it means Nintendo was trying to stop them from selling the video game, and even though they're in the middle of ongoing litigation, they had to remove these mechanics from their game to stop Nintendo from filing an injunction to stop them from selling the video game. Goddamn obnoxious, right? So, on November 30th, 2024, released patch 03.11. This patch removed the ability to summon pals by throwing pal spheres and instead changed it to a static summon next to the player. Several other game mechanics were also changed with this patch, as many have speculated these changes were indeed a result of the ongoing litigation. Everyone here at Pocket Bear was disappointed that this adjustment had to be made, and we fully understand that many players feel the same frustration. Unfortunately, as the alternative would have been led to even greater deterioration of the gameplay experience for players, it was determined that this change was necessary. Furthermore, we regret to inform our players the upcoming implementation of patch 0.5.5, we must make yet another compromise. From this patch onward, gliding will be performed using a glider rather than with pals. Pals in the player's team will still provide passive buffs to gliding, but players will now need to have a glider in their inventory in order to glide. You can't use the pals anymore. Basically, Nintendo is patent bullying these guys really hard. And it's lame as shit to watch. It's actually insane for me to watch this. I can understand the idea of wanting to copyright your characters, copyright the sound that you use, the audio, copyright the look of your game, right? The imagery, the characters, all of that, the writing, everything. When you start entering patents and saying no one else can summon a creature from an object by throwing the object to summon the creature, you run into things like this. No one can do that now. There are other patents inside of the gaming space of you can't run mini games during loading screens. We were denied that for an entire generation. That patent finally came up. But you wouldn't be able to do that. You're not allowed to have mini games on loading screens. Not allowed. The Nemesis system is another good example of this. The idea that you can't have a summonable creature act as a glider. That's a ridiculous thing to patent. And I hate this because it limits innovation in this space. It doesn't allow anybody else to build something interesting, even if it's in a completely different area. And it scares new developers away from the scene because now they go, oh shit, am I allowed to make this? I have to go dig through a mile of patents before I even feel comfortable building something. And the worst thing is there are other games that are doing this. Yeah, Ark lets you glide with a dinosaur. How is that not the same? Is it because it doesn't look like a cute dinosaur? Is it not cutesy enough to piss off Big Bag Nintendo? I don't know. This bothers the shit out of me. Were Nintendo patents just made after Palworld's release too? I don't know the timing on them. I put out a post about them before. Let me see if I have that post still. Yeah, here we go. I said my assumption is that Nintendo is going after Pocket Pair for the Pal Sphere mechanic, as it directly mirrors the Pokeball. Nintendo has a patent on file for this mechanic, but the dates make it a bit interesting. The US patent was filed in May 2024 and approved in August 2024. The Japanese one appears to have been filed in December 2021 and was approved in November 2023. Palworld was announced publicly on June 2021 and launched in January 2024. From this basis, it appears that Nintendo saw a threat and tried to shore up with patents in the case that Palworld did well. Oops, that was back in September 2024 when I posted this, and I posted links to the patents and both the Japanese version and I think the US version on this one too. So yeah, it really looks like Nintendo went, oh shit, that looks dangerous. Patents. It's a mess, dude. The whole thing is a mess. And it pisses me off to see Nintendo acting in this way because it's not good for the gaming industry. It's not good for players, and that sucks. If you don't sell your game in Japan, do you need to follow that? They will sue you in Japanese court. That's one of the biggest problems with this. Japan doesn't have fair use, and Japan has a very different usage of patent law. So because of this, if you play a Japanese game in another country, they can take you down in that other country and sue you in Japanese court, and then you'll have to appear in Japanese court. Just don't sell in Japan is not a solution to that, because they will put restrictions on you through the other countries that they have agreements with because of that basis. It's a mess. You cannot get around this. You have to deal with them. Why do you have to listen to Japanese court? Because your country is friends with them. It's like a really good way to put that. There's a lot more to it than that, but we'll do it that way. That's like the simplest way I can explain that. We should all boycott Nintendo. No, I mean, I don't like mass boycotting shit. I'm going to tell you, I'm not buying the Nintendo Switch 2. I don't like what Nintendo is doing in the industry. I think that the way that they're treating Palworld is shit to me. I'm just not going to buy Nintendo stuff until they pull their head out of their ass, personally. I don't think there should ever be like a big social movement around some stupid shit like that. Do what you think is good based on yourself as a consumer. But for me, this is beyond the pale, man. Like, stop acting like this, Nintendo. If you are concerned that a competitor is winning out over you, it's probably because your games are missing something. You know, the fact that all of the fans of Pokemon have now grown up into adults and they want a more adult, darker game inside of that universe, and you didn't provide it, and now Palworld is and has been for like a year. Maybe it's that. Maybe that's the whole point of all of this, and Nintendo and their unwillingness to recognize this is now attacking them with patents. The problem is the patents office. I disagree with that entirely. I disagree that it's the patent office that is the problem here. I would say that it is entirely Nintendo's problem, because they're using software patents in a way that is, instead of protecting themselves, is stifling competition. That's the issue. Yep, you're 100% right about Nintendo. They're still peddling to kids when gamers have grown up. Gamers have grown up. Gamers have grown up, and there's a lot of us that want a darker version of Pokemon, man. The darkest you get out of Pokemon is if you read the Pokedex. It's grim. The Pokedex is really grim. Pokemon universe is dark, the games are not. Bingo. And here's the thing. What Palworld has done is it has tapped into something that a lot of people didn't realize was a massive fan base. It tapped into the, I want Pokemon-style universe, but I want it to be more realistic and dark. Pokemon with guns is the joke about it. But in reality, dude, like, Team Rocket isn't just going to capture you and then let you go. Team Rocket is a criminal organization. They murder people. What about war in the Pokemon universe? They talk about it like some ancient thing, but no, Pokemon kill people. They eat each other. Like, it's wild, dude. And that's something that I think Palworld tapped into that Nintendo was not really willing or interested in going after. And now they're upset that it worked so well, because you have a lot of older players that have grown up on this shit. And they're like, I want something dark now, you know? And it's not the whole audience, but there's quite a lot of audience. Otherwise, Palworld wouldn't have succeeded. And if the game wasn't good, it definitely wouldn't have sold as many copies as it did. If it was just a meme game, if it was just like oh yeah, just Pokemon with guns, it would have failed. It would have failed completely. Because people would be like, oh, cool, meme for a minute, bye. But they didn't. In fact, there's still a shitload of people playing it. Let's go see how many are on there now. Whoop. It has 25,000 people in the last 24 hours at its peak. So 26,000 live players in the last 24 hours. And if you compare that to something like, I don't even know, what other game can we compare that to that's been out for like a year? Yeah, that's not small. That's a lot of people. You want to do Helldivers? Helldivers might not be a fair comparison. They're doing kind of rough. They only have 13,000, 29,000 in the last 24-hour peak. You have a game that's been out a super long period of time. And I would think even Palworld would likely have less, just because it's like private servers for everything. Compared to the last Pokemon game, we can't really do that. All we have is Steam data. I guess we could theorize, but there's no hard data for that. Do you think the court is biased towards big Nintendo? Yeah, no, 100%. And you've got a Japanese company that brings a lot of honor to Japan, right? You have something that is nationally celebrated. Big Nintendo is a big deal in Japan, 100%. And I don't think that is reaching to say that there's any type of bias there. Of course there's bias. You have a Japanese company. The Japanese company is Nintendo. Nintendo is associated with Japan. Japan has a lot of pride in Nintendo. So to say that, you know, there wouldn't be any kind of bias in the courts, that'd be absurd to me. I think that would be a lie outright. The other thing is Palworld, so Pocket Pair, who makes Palworld, is a Japanese company, but they're an upstart Japanese company. And you have public sentiment against them because everyone loves Nintendo. Like, there's a very large amount of people inside of Japan that love Nintendo. They love it. They love Nintendo. Because Nintendo's like a point of pride for the whole country. It's a big deal. And you have this upstart that's like kind of shattered them. And to be honest with you, you know what would have been better? You know what would have made everybody win in this case? If Nintendo put down the weapons, went over to Pocket Pair and said, let's do a collaboration together. Since you understand our audience and we understand our audience, how do we make it so that Japan stays on top inside of the genre and we do something cool? But I don't think that can happen. I don't think it will. I don't think that is likely at all. Nintendo will never do that. And instead, I think Nintendo will try to shore up with more patents and fight into the ground to try and retain this space. And you know what will happen eventually? Another indie will do it again and again and again and again until Nintendo, because of its lack of innovation, loses the space. I don't think they will retain that space. I think they will lose it. They did it before, too. They almost lost kind of pretty much most of the console audience. I don't know if you guys remember this. The Nintendo Switch was Nintendo's last gasp for the console audience. They were losing ground. People were starting to see them as the Mario platform. People just didn't give a shit about Nintendo. And Nintendo released the Switch. Do you know how Nintendo won? Who knows how the Nintendo Switch won the hearts and minds of all the developers? Who knows how the Nintendo Switch became such a massive success? At the time, if you wanted to get let's go pull up MS Paint. No, it has nothing to do with the games on it. This is going to blow you away if you don't know this story. So at the time, if you wanted to get a dev kit for a console, I think for Xbox, it was something like Xbox or Sony, so PlayStation, it was something like $15,000 a year, and you rented them. It was a rental to do this. So no indies could do this. No indies could do this. The Nintendo Switch, I think, did it for, I think the Switch originally was like $300. Correct me if I'm wrong there. The dev kit was plus $100, and it was a one-time payment. You kept it. That was it. The way that Nintendo won this whole thing was Nintendo made the dev kit more accessible to indies. By collaborating with all of the indie space, they won the console war for handhelds. No one could even get close to them. The Switch is wild for indies, and that's why you saw such a massive indie renaissance where everybody was able to go and release this. Nintendo wins through collaboration. When they start putting up these walls like this to try and shut down other developers, they lose every time. And so I'm watching this, and I'm just like, Nintendo, you're doing the same mistake that led you into that corner in the past. But I don't think there's a way out this time. I don't know what they're going to do.